Please note, the PTE exam material we provide in our YouTube channel is 99.9% repeated in the real PTE exam. It is advised you to practice the weekly as well as monthly prediction videos, according to your exam date, from our channel to get the same material in your exam. Wish you best of luck. Ready to start. 3, 2, 1.
Paris is very old. There has been a settlement there for at least 6,000 years, and its shape has been determined in part by the river Seine, and in part by the edicts of France's rulers. But the great boulevards we admire today are relatively new, and were constructed to prevent any more barricades being created by the rebellious population. That work was carried out in the middle 19th century. The earlier Paris had been in part a maze of narrow streets and alleyways. But you can imagine that the work was not only highly expensive, but caused great distress among the 500,000 or so residents whose houses were simply razed, and whose neighborhoods disappeared. What is done cannot usually be undone, especially when buildings are torn down. Most people think of astronomers as people who spend their time in cold observatories peering through telescopes every night. In fact, a typical astronomer spends most of his or her time analyzing data and may only be at the telescope a few weeks of the year. Some astronomers work on purely theoretical problems and never use a telescope at all. You might not know how rarely images are viewed directly through telescopes. The most common way to observe the skies is to photograph them. The process is very simple. First, a photographic plate is coated with a light-sensitive material. The plate is positioned so that the image received by the telescope is recorded on it. Then the image can be developed, enlarged, and published so that many people can study it. Because most astronomical objects are very remote, the light we receive from them is rather feeble. But by using a telescope as a camera, long-time exposures can be made. In this way, objects can be photographed that are 100 times too faint to be seen by just looking through a telescope.
Nikola Tesla, living under the shadow of Thomas Edison. Tesla is less alone, but his theories have given him a special place in the field. Here we try to showcase some interesting facts that have come to light about Tesla. He was an electric engineer and a physicist of repute. He had over 300 patents credited to him, but he became famous for developing the alternate current technology, which has a wide variety of uses. He was known for his terrific sense of humor. The museum in Wardenclyffe was funded by a cartoon showing the respect people had for his humor. Tesla, in the initial years, worked for Thomas Edison designing direct current generators. He moved away to pursue his own research. Though people described them as rivals, the fact of matter is that they were two sides of a coin. Tesla was at heart an environmentalist and was concerned about the way people were using the resources. He looked for ways to make renewable resources. In fact, he created artificial lightning in his lab and found differences in electric potential on Earth and high objects. As early as 1901, he had ideas about smart phone technology. He was a brilliant thinker but could not put his thoughts and ideas into practice. Tesla never bothered about monetary gains for his research and many a time did not have funds to work on his ideas. People term him a brilliant thinker and humanist. It is said that he had an earthquake mission in his lab and many occasions he would frighten the entire neighborhood when he used it. It is said that Mark Twain was one of the victims of this exercise.
In today's class we'll be examining some 19th-century pattern books that were used for building houses. I think it's fair to say that these pattern books were the most important influence on the design of North American houses during the 19th century. This was because most people who wanted to build a house couldn't afford to hire an architect. Instead, they bought a pattern book, picked out a plan, and took it to the builder. The difference in cost was substantial. In 1870, for example, hiring an architect would have cost about $100. At the same time, a pattern book written by an architect cost only $5. At that price, it's easy to see why pattern books were so popular. Some are back in print again today, and of course they cost a lot more than they did 100 years ago. But they're an invaluable resource for historians, and also for people who restore old houses. I have a modern reprint here that I'll be passing around the room in a moment so that everyone can have a look.
The history of software is, of course, very, very new. The whole IT industry is really only 67 years old, which is extraordinary. To be so close to the birth of a major new technology, a major new discipline, is quite remarkable given where we've got to in those 67 years. And the progression has been not so much a progression as a stampede, because Moore's law, the rapid expansion in the power of computing and the rapid fall of the cost of computing and storage and communications has made it feasible for information technology to move into all sorts of areas of life that were never originally envisaged. What has happened is that there has been, as I said, a stampede for people to pick the low-hanging fruit. And that is what's guided the development of software and information technology over the past decades, and continues to do so, with a number of consequences that we will explore.
Subscribe our channel to get weekly and monthly PTE exam predictions, according to your exam date. Please like, comment and share this video. Your appreciation is biggest motivation for us. See you in next video.